You guys want to see something funny?
Allen motions out of the backfield. McCord looks left. It's intercepted. Touchdown. Pitt. McCord intercepted. Kyle Lewis. Touchdown. Pitt. Well, it's just been that kind of night. Braylon Lovelace.
Holy what? What you just saw was a demonstration of what was seemingly the modern-day rock bottom for quarterbacks at the University of Syracuse. To fit such a monstrosity in one single game is a peak of which most won't come to surpass. The only way you can dive any deeper into the toilet after something like this would be to somehow repeat said feat over the course of an entire season. And it didn't even take a calendar year for said thing to happen. The Orange, following that Pitt game, managed to rebound and win 10 games on the season, being one of the only two ACC teams to go out and win their bowl game. They wouldn't realize it at the time, but the eventual departure of Honda McCord would be the catalyst that set the program back what will likely be 7 upsets over Clemson to rectify. To add some much needed context though, Syracuse having a 10-win season on their plate was certainly a significant surprise. While Honda McCord did run directly into a horde of Panthers and internally combusted, he led the nation in passing yards with almost 5,000 of them. Plus the 34 touchdowns, he became the defining reason for the Orange Man's success in 2024. But now, it's the current year, and every time a lower grade program has any sort of run, said run ends with the entire team getting poached by the NFL or neighboring schools with more talent fee. Such a fate for the Orange Man was bestowed upon them. Now it would be up to the main man himself and Fran Brown to reload for the next season. But you don't just replace the top passer of the nation willy-nilly. His best option for a quarterback who could fit the system would be Notre Dame's permanent bench warmer and Steve the Jelly Bean. While his numbers or background weren't anything impressive, he was seemingly the right guy to fit within the Orange Man's system. While he wasn't the only one taken from the Chaos Portal, he would be the definitive starting guy going into the 2025 season. With a refurbished offensive line, new receivers, including 5-star Jonte Cook II, and an all-conference punter, Fran Brown went into 2025 with confidence. Maybe a little too much. He got shut up real fast when they had to open the year at Atlanta for a neutral site game against the Grand Ministers of the Talent Fee and my Tennessee Volunteers. The Qs opened up as a 14.5 dog, and it took no time at all for that to show. While the Jelly Bean showed he was formidable, he was nothing more than a pushover compared to the might of Joey Aguilar and the reawoken Josh Heupel offense. Did the Jelly Bean absolutely no help when the offensive line was getting folded like paper and half of them were getting thrown to the ground like school nerds to the bullies. This would become much more relevant soon, but the constant bullying up front on both sides led to a cornucopia of injuries. Most of these lasted for a very small amount of time, but they do indeed stack, as you'll find out very soon. Q's did leave a mark on the Tennessee defense though, scoring 26 points. Wait a minute, that's less impressive than it sounds. Need I remind you of which clump of stupid was coaching up in the booth? The lackluster performance led to the Orange Man getting banished to the second worst place before the CW. The ACC network without any national coverage. Was probably for the best though, because the team was looking ahead to Colgate or something like that. They got pushed around for 50 minutes against UConn and Jim Mora. But as they do, Mora got cute with it once they took a significant lead, and eventually, the true potential of the Jelly Bean was awoken. Just as the fans were getting ready to pack their bags and leave, Jelly Bean lit up the Husky defense and got Q's back into the game and into chaos overtime. Joe Fanano tried his best to respond, but the offense for the Q's had come alive. There was little left they could do to stop them now.
3rd and 1, Syracuse to the air for Ross Simmons along the sideline. Touchdown!
A sigh of relief for the Orange Men. For now they could breathe and hope that they never have a struggle fest like that again. Their consolation prize would be beating up on toothpaste in preparation for conference play. But there's a itty-bitty tiny small deadly problem. No matter what you thought of Clemson at this time, going into Death Valley, which isn't really Death Valley anymore because LSU beat him, and coming out a winner is no easy task for the small and insignificant. Especially for the Orange Men, who was notorious for pissing away leads against the Taters. However, this time, it was different. Not just for them, but Clemson too. Dabo Swinney's hold on the ACC was thinning faster than he could say,
"To win, you gotta not lose."
My lord, I love that quote. Fran Brown outcoached Swinney and it showed on the field. Angeli was having himself a day on the poor Clemson defense, and Cade Klubnik had little to respond with. Everything seemed to be going perfect for the Orange Men. until it wasn't. The Jelly Bean had a tendency of playing hero, believing that his Casper of a line would do him no favors. Sometimes he was right on that, but that's beside the point. That's when the gates of hell opened and the injury bug awoke for the sacrifice. The Jelly Bean fell down in a scramble without being touched and needed to be helped off the field. If you know anything about no contact injuries, it's always nothing or everything. In this case, it was unfortunately everything. Said injury would be a torn Achilles, taking him out for the remainder of the season. While they would indeed hold on to beat the Taters, the question now became, how much did it cost? The mood of the program would swing just as fast as me reminding the Falcons fans watching that you just signed Tua. Remember when I told you about the other transfer that the Qs picked up? This is him. Enter Ricky Collins. He sat behind Garrett Nussmeier at LSU and had at least a very small amount of experience to show for it. But Brown and the rest of the coaching staff could have never accounted for their star quarterback going down this early in the season. And while they tried their hardest to prepare him for the conference slate, they were starting from the bottom while everyone else was 4 blocks down the road. Collins was a football infraction to watch. Even when offensive coordinator Jeff Nixon dumbed down the offense to a level a kindergartner could run, it made the offense so useless, they might have been better off considering putting out the defense again. It reminded Nixon of his days with the New York Giants. That's how bad it was. Syracuse once high-powered offense went lights out overnight, never to be seen again. 6 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and a bucket load of calls to end the season prematurely. It got so horrendously bad that they eventually pulled the plug on him for guys who have never seen a football field. Joe Filardi was next, and he wasn't even attending college for football. He was a walk-on for the lacrosse team who played football for Gets and Shiggles. Fill up my ass. In his debut against Bill Belichick's UNC, he performed to such a vomit-inducing level, it made Belichick look like he didn't have dementia. 4 of 18 for 39 yards, 147 total yards of offense. You blinked, and that's how long the fill-out-a-job application experience lasted. Past that point, the only options left were Luke Carney and Jakari Williams. And while they did get experience, they were thrown to the wolves with no clear direction and, more importantly, no football experience. Even with their successful high school runs, that did them absolutely no good behind this offensive line. The offense became simplified and incompetent on such a level that even made Iowa wins. And with the defense quickly getting gassed, it led to an unfortunate but very predictable outcome. Syracuse went the entire rest of the 2025 season without winning another football game. Each game after the next was nothing more than a glorified scrimmage and torture session for the fans who dare endure it. They averaged fewer than 20 points in a game, a number worse than the one that got Kirk Ferrett's son fired from the Hawkeyes. The defense eventually gave up themselves, letting Notre Dame put up 70 on that team. Backusine Willis became more and more of an irrelevancy as the season progressed because all you had to do was stop him and the entire team was down for the count. It's like having a level 17 town hall with level 1 defenses and a clan castle full of wall breakers. Everything simply blew up. The Orange Men finished 3-9, and if given the opportunity, I'm sure someone would have given their leg to the Jelly Bean if it meant avoiding all of this. Now here we are post the season, and the Syracuse you see today is predictably unrecognizable. Most of the assistants besides the main coordinators got canned for better units. The same could be said for the quarterback depth chart. The Jelly Bean is still fighting off of his injury, and where did the rest go? The fuck away from here, that's where. With the departure of every other man on the depth chart, the Qs would be relying on either the newest recruits for playing time again, or the much more pleasant outcome. Take a guy with plenty of experience and wins out of the Chaos Portal. Amari Odom is credited for taking Kennesaw State to 10 wins, so the odds that he'll be as much of a liability as Collins is very unlikely. More than 30 players from the 2025 roster dipped, and plenty are coming in, thankfully. I'd have to go on a limb and say that 2026, pending the same thing happening, is going to be a much improved season for Fran Brown and company. If nothing else, a valuable lesson was learned on this day. Always prepare for disaster. Still, you guys scored less than 30 on Tim Banks. How'd you not see this coming?
A big ace in the hole for Clemson if they're trying to pull off a comeback would be the crowd, but in stride, Angeli hits Jonte Cook all the way down inside the Clemson 35. The ball popped out, but they say he was down. Shelton Lewis saved a touchdown. Jonte Cook streaks up.
Also, the NCAA really needs to greenlight that spring game between Colorado and Syracuse. Nothing says toilet bowl like these two playing in the spring.